Welcome to this presentation to the introduction of CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. This is a whole new version of the technical communication software from Corel, and I want to take the opportunity in the next around 45 minutes to show you some of the highlights of CorelDRAW Technical Suite in the new X7 version. My name is Klaus Vossen. I am Product Manager responsible for CorelDRAW Technical Suite at Corel. And as said, I want to show you what's new and how you can benefit from the tools in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. So technical communication, that means a lot and very different things to many of you. Depending on which industry you are working in and which departments, which workflows you are dealing with. So first of all, you need to handle very different and many different kinds of or types of source data. That can be 3D CAD, 2D CAD, also photographs, maybe even blueprints, printed documentation that you need to access for further editing and working with those source files. Then there is a number of things, tasks you need to do with this source data to get from a construction or manufacturing or production design and data to something that is clearly understandable and that can be used for also non-technical people to read, to understand instructions and any kind of technical documentation and technical communication. This can be technical manuals, which is one of the more classic technical documentation deliverables for sure. But we've also seen an increasing demand and interest in other media and formats. So animations and videos are a type of deliverables that is increasingly interesting for technical communication, but also rather new devices like tablets and smartphones that are used as reading consumable devices for technical documentation. And then there is a lot of different types of deliverables that you need to create as technical communication. And for some of you, this might also be only one aspect of the graphics you need to do. There's also for some people the need to create marketing collateral, advertising materials and designs as well, using the same source data that can come from your engineering departments and that type of data which is accessed and transformed into something what you can see here on the right side. So this workflow or these different aspects we try to cover with CorelDRAW Technical Suite, and with the new version X7 we base that on 4 key themes that all the developments, all the enhancements and new features are focused to. It starts with leveraging the technical assets, so all the different source data that you have. Then, of course, there is a lot of tools you need for creating the precise technical communication. Once you've done that, you have to publish, and there is many different output options that you may want to see supported, and I will show you examples for all of that. As a 4th theme, I just want to mention on the side, when publishing technical communication, depending on the industry you're working in, there is different industry standards that you need to comply with, and that's the 4th key theme in CorelDRAW Technical Suite, to be compliant with those standards. I will give you a couple of examples for the industry standard support in CorelDRAW Technical Suite in a few minutes. So let's take a look at CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. as you can see here, there's a lot of text, and that means there is a lot to show. This is only trying to list the highlights of what's new in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. Of course, X7, that's the 17th version of the product, so there is a lot behind it beyond what is new in this version, but I want to focus on the new developed and enhanced features in this new version. And of course, you will see further events to highlight specific topics, as we will be able to only touch these many highlights today. So let's start, and I want to show you and demonstrate to you the functionality in the applications. So I am using the CorelDRAW Technical Suite applications in this whole presentation. What you see here is Corel Designer application UI, the core 2D vector illustration application in CorelDRAW Technical Suite, and we have changed the user interface quite a bit from the previous version to version X7. For those of you who are familiar with Corel Designer or familiar with CorelDRAW, which is closely related to the Corel Designer application, you will see the UI has a clean, fresh approach. So it's we have tried to make changes to the UI to make it more clear to access the functionality. And for those of you who are not familiar with the applications in CorelDRAW Technical Suite, we have a workspace feature, and using that welcome screen here, let me quickly change to the default UI so that the toolbox is out of the way. And you see here there's workspaces for everybody, so for beginners as well as long-term designer users coming from an old version of Micrographics Designer, but also professional users workspaces, one for technical illustration, providing functionality for doing isometric or other projected drawings, and then other tools that are frequently used for technical illustration authoring, and then another workspace for diagramming, so that users doing 2D diagrams, circuit board design, or that kind of deliverables, finding the tools they need and not being distracted by many other tools that are in the application as well, but not that relevant for this particular task. And also, if you are coming from another application, you can switch Corel Designer to a look that mimics an Adobe Illustrator user interface, so that you can simply look at what's in Corel Designer in addition to the tools you know from Adobe Illustrator to work with this technical illustration application when you're coming from these other applications. So let me switch back to the technical illustration workspace, as this is the workspace I am most familiar with, so it will be easier for me to guide you through the functionality. And using this UI, you will also find, as changes from previous versions, we have simplified customization of the user interface. So for those who want to start from one of the presets but then customize it further, that's very easy with those quick customize buttons that you will find everywhere, to add dockers, to add tools to toolbars, and so on, to make the UI look like what you need to have all the features and functionality in front of you that you need frequently. Okay, moving on, as the 45 minutes aren't that much time and there's a lot I want to show you. So let's start to show you some workflow samples, and I want to show you examples from different industries. So if you're not into manufacturing, no worries, I will show samples from other industry workflows in a few minutes. So first, let's look at a typical workflow in a manufacturing environment. In this industry, you will find the designs, the production or construction work being done in 3D CAD systems most of the time, and that means there is tools like or CAD systems like SolidWorks, CATIA, NX in the automotive industry. What else? PTC Creo, Parametric, Autodesk Inventor. That's the type of 3D CAD systems you find in your industry there. And CorelDRAW Technical Suite with an add-on solution called Lattice 3D Studio CAD enables you to access those 3D CAD system file formats in their native file formats. So you can access CATIA assembly files, SolidWorks NX assembly and part files, and so on. And that requires this Lattice 3D Studio CAD add-on. The application behind that, Lattice 3D Studio, is available in two flavors, and the basic level application, Lattice 3D Studio Corel Edition, is included in the CorelDRAW Technical Suite. So with every license of CorelDRAW Technical Suite, you receive that tool. You can open 3D files, but when it comes to manufacturing 3D CAD file formats, the list I presented to you, that means you need the add-on which unlocks additional functionality in this application. So I'm launching the application, and for those of you who are familiar with the CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 product, there was this technology included, integrated with the X6 version as well, and you will see the UI has been developed further in this Lattice 3D Studio application as well. And I have the advanced level Lattice 3D Studio CAD opened here. It's the same application as integrated, but with additional functionality. And one of the additional functionality is that you will see a long list of file formats starting here to PDF, and that's exclusively supported by the advanced level add-on. So all the 3D CAD system file formats, also 3D CAD exchange file formats like IGES, JT, STEP, and what you see here in that list, that's the add-on functionality. And down here, that's the file formats that you will find supported: 3D Studio, DWG, STL, U3D, and VRML. That's supported in the basic level application integrated with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. So I want to open a 3D file that was originally a SolidWorks assembly, and you can see in this application you can access it 3D as a technical illustrator, so there is no CAD software or CAD license required for that. You have the options to specify views in here. On the left you see the assembly tree, so the whole part and assembly, sub-assembly structure, that's all accessible in this application. You can store views, so whenever you specify a view of the parts and assembly that you need for further for creating an illustration, for example, then that can be stored as a snapshot. It is stored with the file in here. The 3D files are highly compressed, so the XVL file format is one of the best compressed 3D file formats, so that can even be shared with a mobile device using the iOS apps that are available for that file format, so that you can share interactive 3D, including those snapshots and even animations that you can create with the advanced level tool here, to share that with mobile devices. So once you have stored the views that you want to use as technical illustration, then you have a tool here that sends your view to Corel Designer. In the advanced level add-on, you have this details view, which provides a lot of tools for specifying the line weights, line color, vector fills and other parameters, so you can also export a hybrid of a vector illustration file with a bitmap underneath. This supports transparent background and so on, so a lot of things that you can specify, and you see presets that you can store here. So this is not something that you will access every time you want to send an illustration file out. You do that once and then you have your preset. I have done this before, so I want to quickly show you the results of that kind of functionality. This is an illustration export to Corel Designer, so I'm back in 2D illustration now, and on page 2 you see something I have exported from a section cut view of that disassembled 3D view. So that's all things you do with the Lattice 3D Studio application, and then send illustrations to Corel Designer. And in those illustrations you can see here that the file structure is still there. So let me use the outlines. You see the component names here on the right side, and you can use that, for example, to color, to highlight a part, or do things like that. And what you see here as well, also on page 1, I have added callouts. So this uses one of the unique Corel Designer features to add numbered callouts or text callouts with halos, so the white mask around those lines that makes it very clearly readable as an illustration. That's all done in Corel Designer, very simple with the callout tool, for example. So you can use automatic increment. That's what we've used here to do this numbered callouts and things like that. What I want to show you now is a new feature and functionality in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7 with the Lattice 3D Studio CAD add-on. Because what often happens is you create a lot of things in here on the 3D side. So you use Lattice 3D Studio to create disassembly views, to create section views, maybe create an animation to show how this is assembled from. So you receive the assembled parts and then you create that exploded disassembled view and animate the stages in between. All that work may have to be updated because the engineers have changed their design. In the Lattice 3D Studio application and the advanced level add-on, there is a feature called auto detection and update, and we've enhanced that feature to also update illustrations that have been created. So now it's possible to start with all that work for creating your technical communication deliverables early in an early design stage, and then let me show you what happens when the design changes. So I do not want to save the changes, but let me open a revised 3D model. So this would be the SolidWorks assembly. I have opened that once and stored it as XVL file. You see here it's highly compressed. This is 45 megabyte from the original assembly file with its sub-assemblies and parts, and that's compressed down to 170 something kilobyte. And what you see here, the design has changed in a few parts. So this part has changed. There is a well missing here. Same here. There is a different material used. So now I want to make my previous work accessible or update with that modified 3D source file. I use that auto detection procedure and have to select the editing file that I have previously worked on, and then the parts need to be matched, so that's done with the name in this example. Get a few warning messages, but then you see there's a visual comparison between before and after the design update, and you see also here in that list there's geometry changes in this part and in this part, and then based on that you can apply those changes and you can update the illustrations that have been sent to Corel Designer as vector illustrations previously. Now, yes, I want to do this. Now this is being updated, and the illustrations with the thick and thin lines, with the color fills and all that, what you have seen in the Corel Designer file, that's all being recreated and then updated in the illustration. That takes a moment. There is a second illustration. As you have seen, there are two illustrations on 2 pages in Corel Designer, so both have to be recreated from the updated 3D design. That's what happens right now. And then I will be directed to the Corel Designer application with my illustration file and can confirm the update there. So short moment for this to finish. Should be done in a few seconds. There we are. So back in Corel Designer application, I confirm the 2 updates, and what you see here is the same illustration based on the new design. So this is done in an automated process. There's no need to rework all that. So you see everything is the same as before. Also the object structure, it's still there, so you can access all the elements in here. For example, if the green color doesn't match your illustration intention, then you can color that red, and things like that you can quickly do based on that updated illustrations then. Okay, let's move back to the presentation. So one moment, let me quickly check if there is... Okay, so there is a few questions coming, but I will answer questions at the end, so it seems that everything is working fine. So let's continue with the presentation of a few sample workflows. Keeping with the 3D theme for a moment, but looking at a slightly different workflow or aspect. So what I have shown you now was to generate technical illustrations, vector illustrations from 3D source files. Now you can use 3D in a different manner as well. So since Corel Designer X6, the previous version, you can insert 3D models as interactive 3D objects in a vector illustration or on a page. Let me go back to this sample file on page 2. So let's use the space here on the left to insert a 3D model, and we use that same model that I have worked on before. So I use the precise drawing aids to place this, and now this inserts the 3D model as interactive object. So you see here I can access that. There's tools for manipulating the 3D file. You can access the views, the snapshots in here. Let me go to this one, and then I can interactively rotate, similar to what I have done in the latest 3D Studio application. The difference is this is a document page, and I can combine this 3D object with precise vector illustrations, with text, with photographs, with any kind of visual content. And now with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7, I can publish this whole document. It can also be a multi-page document, as you can see here. It has 2 pages. I can publish this to 3D PDF, and all you have to do is to use the PDF publishing function, and I have done that before, so let me quickly open that up for you. So there should be this one. opening Adobe Reader, and that opens the multi-page file with the 2 pages. Sorry, so here's page 1, and then on page 2, it's a different stage of that document, so the text is missing as I have done that afterwards, after I have done the PDF. But now you see in the Adobe Reader application, which is installed almost everywhere, you can access the 3D, interactively rotate it, create section cuts and things like that. You can do with that 3D PDF, and you can still use that same file, that same publication for printing, which will give you the default preview as it looks like this here. That's how it looks when you print out that file, because that's my preview I have input there previously. So powerful feature to not only use 3D as a source, but publishing interactive 3D with all the other content. Another new feature I only want to mention here, we can now insert QR codes. So for those of you who do printed documentation, or also mobile documentation, and need to point readers to that online content, you can use QR codes to put on a machine label, for example, to insert that link in here. Sorry, I need to move this down. Okay, so you see the QR code, there is a link behind that, and that is usable by any mobile QR reader app to guide you to the page, to the link behind that, and that can be created in Corel Designer with a lot of graphical features. So to make that QR code look like you want it to look, to fit, to match your design intentions, and you can validate those QR codes to make sure they are readable and they guide to the right target. So that's all built in to Corel Designer X7. For those of you who are familiar with CorelDRAW Graphics Suite, that's one of the features that Corel Designer uses, same as CorelDRAW. So CorelDRAW Technical Suite in general includes everything from CorelDRAW Graphics Suite, and it adds the technical capabilities I am presenting to you here. So let's look at some other features. So looking at a slightly different area, and I want to quickly mention that. So we will for sure have other events to present to you in more detail what this is about. So in aerospace and defense industries, there is very strict standard regulations. So the S1000D standard for the S1000D for technical documentation, that requires specific CGM profiles to be supported for outputting files. But not only that, for creating interactive output, you also need to create that type of functionality with hotspots, so that graphical elements can be used as interactive hotspots, and that's all built in with Corel Designer to create those hotspots and then output to S1000D compliant CGM, for example. In the interest of time, I'm moving on to some other examples, and now moving away from 3D for a moment, and let's have a look at 2D drawing themes and workflows that we also greatly support with CorelDRAW Technical Suite and the Corel Designer application in particular. The sample that you see here, of course, diagramming is not only used in technology and telecommunication industries, so that's just to highlight one or two industry segments we frequently find this kind of drawing in. Corel Designer provides a lot of functionality that simplifies the creation of diagrams like this. So for example, symbols, this ground symbol here, that's defined once and then it's used in 3 instances in this diagram. Now when moving this, you will see there's these connector lines that have sticky line ends, and you also see the halos that help identifying bridges and crossing elements. So this is all part of this connector line, so that I don't need to specify a lot of different things to make this look accurate or to make it accurate. I have used a lot of symbols in here. You see that with the blue grips. So the blue grips mean that's a symbol. Black grips mean it's an individual drawing component. And we have introduced with the previous version a style and style set option. And this has been enhanced to better work with externally referenced symbols like what I have used here. So these are symbols stored in external libraries. And now I can use styles and style sets with these symbols as well. So what the benefit of that is that you can change whole drawings in their appearance. For example, change the color of all the outlines because I have applied that style to the outlines in the symbols and in the individual drawing objects. So that's something that you can use to modify the formatting, the look and feel of a lot of drawing components in one go. Another feature that I want to highlight in context of diagramming that's often used, mathematical or scientific formulas. So it's quite difficult to write something like this with a text editor, and it's not clear whether or not it's properly formatted. So with Corel Designer X7 we now include an equation editor that enables you to write that kind of formulas with all the tools that you need for mathematical or scientific formulas. There's preset formulas that you can use and then modify from there. You can control all the formatting with the font sizing and so on to have those editable and scalable formulas in your diagrams or in your technical illustrations. Looking at another slightly different topic, using architectural engineering and construction as the sample or as the industry segments to illustrate this example. So in these industry segments we see less interest or relevance of using 3D source data, but still a lot of 2D CAD source data being the most relevant source for working from there to access 2D CAD, DWG, AutoCAD files, for example, but also to generate that type of files. So some of our customers are using Corel Designer as a lightweight technical drawing application to create their 2D CAD files. And that's of course possible because you have all the accurate 2D drawing capabilities in this tool. And now using and generating DWG files we have identified as one of the most important aspects in this workflow. And so far we already supported things like layer structure in CAD files, so you can import with the layers in DWG files to get them into Corel Designer. We also supported hatch fills already, so that they come in as editable hatch fills that you can modify in here instead of a bunch of lines that you can only select and delete if you want to change anything there. And in that same context we now also support dimension lines. So when importing a DWG file with dimensions. These dimensions will come in as editable dimension shapes in Corel Designer. That means you can change them as dimension objects. You have all the capabilities in here. When selecting the dimension object, you see you can change the accuracy, you can change the prefix, and whatever you want to do with it. So that's actually translating to the right measurement, as it's a dynamic dimension, and things like that you can do with imported CAD files now. On the other hand, you will also maintain those dimensions as editable dimension shapes when exporting to DWG, so you can really exchange your Corel Designer drawings with CAD users who use AutoCAD, for example, or CorelCAD to work with those files from here. One other aspect I want to show you, what you see here in that magnifying lens. So precision is or accuracy is very important when you do technical drawings, and Corel Designer is a graphical application or an illustration application, so it's not always that much about accuracy as with technical drawings, but we see problems in things like outline position. So when you draw a wall in a technical drawing, this layer shouldn't be outside your measurements. Of course, it should be inside, as the wall has its total width or length, and that should be accurately presented, visualized in the drawing. And what we can do now in Corel Designer X7 is that we select an outline position, and by making that the inner or inside outline, I have the accurate measurement here. So this layer simulated or illustrated by a thick line, that's now clearly inside the measurement, and that's how you can specify this now with Corel Designer X7. One more thing on technical or precise drawing. Those of you who use CAD tools know features like offset tools for creating a parallel line to an existing curve. Now you can do similar things with Corel Designer X7 now with the new parallel drawing tools. I open that here. So that's a screenshot down here, and let me move the tool down here. And I want to create a parallel line with, let's say, 5 mm distance, and then I create a Bezier curve. And now the CAD users amongst you will see that it's much easier to create that kind of curve in here compared to a CAD tool, and that's how this can look like in a parallel, with a parallel drawing tool in Corel Designer. You can of course also apply parallel lines to existing lines to use a similar workflow as with offset tools, and use the tool like that. Moving on, there is still a number of things I want to show you actually. So one more big new feature in CorelDRAW Technical Suite is about creating localized graphical materials or international graphics or technical documentation. So when creating graphics and you need those graphics in technical documentation in, let's say, 10 languages, you have a choice of maybe leaving any kind of text out there or translating the text that you have in the graphics, and that second option has become a lot easier with the functionality in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7. We support exchanging text information from graphics files with translation memory systems like a cross-language server, SDL, Trados, and there's a few more out there, and those of you who are concerned or involved with that will know what translation memory system they have. All these systems support the XLIF file format for receiving translation source files and for providing the translation results. And Corel Designer takes these files and that way helps to create translations of your documents. So let me show you how this works. This is a simple example. You can argue that this text up here and the text below the graphic, yeah, that could be outside the picture or graphic and could be part of a text document. But this little call out here, using that as a numbered call out with number 1 here, and then you have a text that needs to reference to that number 1, it's that much easier to have that call out with the text and explain what it should tell. And there you go. So translating that with Corel Designer X7 is as simple as that. You export the text for translation. So there are components that I do not want to translate, so I leave them out. I can show you here. So I can specify for any text object whether or not it should be included in translation export. Now I want to exclude the numbers, save the rest of the text elements, export that to the translation memory system. I have done that before. And then I can import the translation results. That's how this would look like. And I open that, for example, English-German translation, and here you go. It's immediately translated so that you have the same file, the same graphic with the translated content there. You can save that. Let me go back one step and show you another language example. Let's use Spanish here. Same procedure. You see it's immediately translated, and I could do things like copying, duplicating the text so that I have language-specific layers. So far I have demonstrated workflows in 3D and 2D technical illustration, vector illustration applications and components. Now CorelDRAW Technical Suite has a lot more functionality and capabilities and components to cover other workflows. So for example, photo editing. There is a whole photo editing application with Corel Photo Paint X7 included. But you can do a lot of things already here in the layout application, where you combine photos with callouts, with vector illustrations, with text. For example, you can use the straighten image dialog here to fix rotations. And you see the blue marked features in here. There's something new in CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7 that we call the membership options. So with CorelDRAW Technical Suite X7 you will receive a free standard membership that enables you to access all the content, clip art, templates, symbol libraries, fonts online. That is free. And then there is an optional premium membership on top that you can select for receiving early access to additional features. And this is an example here. So those perspective correction tools, that's part of the premium feature set. That's why you see them marked blue in here, so that you can use additional functionality when you are a premium member for the CorelDRAW Technical Suite. So I just wanted to show you this one example for photo editing. There's a whole professional photo editing application with layer support, professional retouching features behind that you can access from here with the Edit Bitmap tool, for example. That launches the Photo Paint application with a lot more tools. Running further to complete this session and provide you with the full information I wanted to present to you. Let's take a quick look at publishing. So I have mentioned that in the beginning, once you created your or authored your technical illustrations, images, 3D content, then it's about publishing. And the CorelDRAW products are famous for their broad range of file format compatibility, and CorelDRAW Technical Suite adds to that with a lot of technical file formats that are supported on top. 3D PDF publishing options I have demonstrated. There's also the option to use the XVL files that you store in the Lattice 3D Studio application to share that on mobile devices with the iOS apps. There is, of course, support for high quality, high resolution print output formats, so EPS is supported, and other file formats as well, PDF, of course. And then there is file format support for many other file formats, and that includes also standard file formats like CGM or TIFF that are used in many workflows and that require certain standard support. So at the end, almost at the end, I want to show you that CorelDRAW Technical Suite is even more than what I have showed to you. So what you have seen today is the Corel Designer application, the Lattice 3D Studio application in the advanced level add-on, and I think that's pretty much it, what I have demonstrated. So there is a lot more included in CorelDRAW Technical Suite, as you can see here. CorelDRAW is included for the more creative illustration tasks, the Corel Photo Paint bitmap editing application, and a lot of additional tools and components that help complete your workflows and complement the core applications that you see here. So one more slide to give you some information about the pricing and the options for licensing the product. So you can try out the software with all its functionality for 30 days. The trial version is available on the web, on the Corel product pages, so coreldraw.com/technical suite. And as you can see, there is options to license the software as all the time before as perpetual licenses. We have upgrade pricing for those who already have CorelDRAW Technical Suite X6 or Corel Designer Technical Suite X4 or X5. And then there is a new option with subscription licensing model. So if you only need the software for a limited time for a project, then this might be a good option for you to buy into monthly or annual subscription. The pricing you will get from your reseller, or look at our website where you can also find the local pricing. So that link takes you to your local website with local pricing. With that, I want to thank you for joining and attending today's presentation. I will now have a look at the questions to answer at least some of the questions that have come up during the session.